Hi everybody, I hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are washing your hands, staying home if you can, and being safe. Today's video, I thought I would do a story time video, just because I know a lot of people are home right now, so I thought let's just like grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's have a story time. I am going to open up about something that I have kept to myself kind of privately for a while because it just didn't seem like the right time, but things are just so great right now that I kind of wanted to share the story. I'm going to take you back quite a few years. So in Canada, the way it works is you go from junior kindergarten to grade 8, and then once you're done there, you will go to high school. So you'll do high school, you do grade 9 to grade 12. When I was in grade 9, I used to live kind of out in the country, and then I ended up moving to the city. I moved on this street that a girl that I kind of knew also lived on. I just sort of knew her from like mutual friends, that kind of thing. I also feel like she kind of like knew what was what, like who lived on our street. She had let me know that this guy named Michael lived on my street. It was funny because at the time, like he was in a band, and I sort of like knew who that band was because this was a time where my best friend Desi and I, like we went to local shows a lot, and you know, you just sort of know, like it's not a small town, but it's not huge. Like it's not like a huge city like Toronto, so you kind of like know all the local bands, and like, you know, this person who knows this person who knows this person, so you just sort of know names. You might hear a name, you go, oh, I knew who that is, but you're not actually friends with them, that sort of thing. I obviously like knew who that was, like I knew of the name, like I knew of the name of the band. I didn't maybe know the person, never met the person, but I had found out that this guy lived on my street, and I was like, okay, cool. So I think that this was also during the days of MySpace, which if you're too young to remember MySpace, then, well, gosh darn it, you're making me feel old. MySpace definitely, like, I guess, gosh, am I gonna explain MySpace? I hope not. I mean, it was like Facebook, but I feel like MySpace was more so like you added people that you didn't necessarily know. I feel like MSN, like instant messaging, good lord, I'm aging myself, was like the same thing, you know? You just kind of like added people like kind of knew, and like maybe chatted with these random people. I don't know. I added this person on MySpace. I feel like it was also during the time where when you had MSN and you go on chat with your friends, like people always like put things in their little, was it like their status? They put like song lyrics or like, this is a trip down memory lane, I would say. At some point throughout this whole thing, I can't honestly remember, but I do remember that we ended up having each other on MSN. How? I don't know. And I remember seeing that his status said something about like needing a bass guitar. If we're going back into the depths of my past, Desi, my best friend, she got a guitar one year for Christmas. So I was just like, well, like we were super into like Blink-182, Simple Plan, Good Charlotte. We were super like wearing Dickies and like band tees, wristbands. So I was like, oh, Desi got a guitar. Well, then I guess I have to play bass. What were we gonna be in a band? I don't know, Desi. What were we planning to do with that? So anyways, I got a bass for Christmas one year. I learned to play like one Good Charlotte song. Good times. Posted about needing a bass guitar. I was like, wow, what are the chances I have a bass guitar? So messaged him, probably said something like, hey, what up? Got a bass. I don't know what I said. Keep in mind, never met this person, just gonna give him my bass guitar. I can see why parents should be worried about kids in the internet. He came to my house to get my bass guitar, and I have to say too, like, I knew what he looked like. MySpace, photos and all that kind of stuff. Gosh, maybe he posted it on MySpace. Maybe it wasn't in his MSN name. Remember you could make like bulletins on MySpace? Okay, well anyways, he posted it. He was like, you should come to our show. I remember that night, a ton of my friends and I had plans to go to the mall. And I mean like a ton. Like it was kind of in the winter around Christmas time, so we were all going to the mall together, like 15 of us. Like we were gonna be those mall 15 kids being super annoying. Younger Tasha, you were annoying. But I was gonna try to do both. So I don't remember who I was with, but I had a friend who came with me to that show just to like watch their set. My fond memory of like this show was that it was over, so I went up to him and I remember he's like packing up his drums, and I was just like, oh, cool, like good set. Picture a bass drum, like how big a bass drum is, like probably what, that wide. We like hugged over the bass drum. It was super awkward. That was basically the beginning. There's a lot of foggy memories in between there because, like I said, I think I was like 15 or 16. I'm 28 now, so like it was a very long time ago for me to remember all the nitty-gritty details. Should I call him and see if I'm missing any details here? Rude. Regardless, we ended up like hanging out a whole bunch. He literally lived, I don't know, maybe like 15 houses down the street. You have to sit down, we're telling a story. He's like, it's not a very good story, Mom. Okay, so the only memory that I really have between us fully fledged dating and that bass drum incident, we would like hang out at his house in his basement and like watch TV or whatever. You know, you're young, you just like, that's what you do. That's what you do. I remember I was supposed to be home at like 10 or something, but my mom definitely went to bed super duper early, so I felt like she really wouldn't have noticed or whatever. She knew where I was. She knew I was down the street. I think it was something like 2 in the morning. It might have been like later. It might have been something ridiculous like 3 in the morning. My mom coming to the house and knocking on the door, and we were like, what? And then his dad like answering the door in his like underwear, and it'd be like my mom, and my mom like yelling at me for not being home and like, do you know what time it is? Da, 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 da. So I have this really fond memory of that. So we ended up dating, and we ended up dating for about 3 years, which I know is like a strange way to start off a story time. I feel like a lot of these sort of stories start off with like being best friends with someone and then dating them, whereas mine is actually the opposite. Like we started off dating, then became best friends. I mean, I was like 15, 16, 17 when we dated, because we dated for 3 years. Looking back at a lot of the memories I have of that relationship, they were very childish. Like even things that you would, or I would get up like upset about, definitely aren't things that I would get upset about now. You're truly a kid, like, you know, you're growing up like when you're 16. Yeah, like it wasn't good at the end of it, I would really say. He really hates when I stop petting him, but like in the end, I felt like maybe I was a bit like possessive, and I don't know, it wasn't really that great towards the end of it, I would say that. So we actually broke up my first year of college, and I remember that pretty vividly. Towards the end of our relationship, it was just like, okay, we're friends, and that's about it. Like we would hang out, we wouldn't kiss, we wouldn't hug. It really just like morphed into a friendship at the end. Over the next little while, like it was a little awkward there for a bit, but we both went to school. He went to university, and I want to say like over the last 18 to 28, so for the last 10 years, isn't that crazy? Our friendship evolved a lot. Like it started off rocky, then when we actually were just friends and there was nothing there, it was still a little weird, because it's just, I had a lot of like people being like, oh yeah, like you're gonna marry him, and I think he did as well. So, but like I would say definitely the last 5 years for sure, our friendship just like really blossomed. We were best friends. We called each other our best friends. I obviously, as you guys know, did date people throughout that 10 years. I dated quite a few people. He actually didn't date anyone from the time, that whole time we were broken up. Like, not to say that he didn't like see people or anything like that. I just mean that like full-blown relationship, he didn't have one throughout that entire time. And like looking back, like I always thought, you know, a little strange, but then I also thought like he had a lot going on, and he was in a band, and he had hockey, and he was in university, and like it wasn't something that I was like, I thought, oh, he's not dating anyone because of me. I never thought that. And honestly, like the people that I had dated, I, at least like, you know, 2 of them I thought were going to really become something. So I definitely wasn't holding on to that, but I think it was always something in the back of my head where I thought, you know, this person, this human being I love so dearly, I think is like one of the most amazing people in the world. I would do anything for that person. Of course, that's always like something in the back of your head, but it was never at the forefront. So my last relationship ended, and it ended for reasons that have nothing to do with this story. There was a point where, you know, we had a conversation about what I'm telling you about. And even at that point, it was sort of like a weird conversation. And I remember he kissed me. We'd just gone for dinner and he kissed me, and it was the weirdest thing. Like, I truly felt nothing when the kiss happened, and he felt nothing, and it was weird, and we were just like laughing, and it was just such a strange thing. You know, you're like, okay, so this is my best friend, like, and it makes sense to have feelings for this person, but it's super weird. When we talked about it, like, he didn't see it in a way that I did, where I said, doesn't it make sense that, we both just like love each other dearly, everything I just said, and like, he was kind of weary of it. And then when he was like, oh, okay, maybe, then, I was weary of it. Regardless, like, I was still really very much going through something and trying to, just grow from that experience. Even though we sort of knew, like, yeah, maybe that would be, oh, look, who's calling me? Hello?
Hello, you rang?
I did. I was just calling to see if I had missed anything about the start of the relationship, but now I'm at like the end of the relationship telling the story, so now I don't think it matters much. Unless you have anything that you would like to add to my story time, then you're on speakerphone.
I remember, like, we were talking a lot, and I think on MSN we were talking there at this point.
I told that too.
I was still like wondering if you liked me or not, and one day you like accidentally sent me a message that you meant to send to Desi or something, and I just like chose to ignore it. It basically said straight up that, like, oh yeah, I like him, and like, I hope we go out soon or something like that, and I still was like, I'm not sure. Like, does she really? The most blatant example of me just having no idea my surroundings. You literally told me and I was still unsure.
Thank you for your input.
Okay. Bye. Talk to you later.
Love you.
Love you too.
He really came around, and he really liked me and wanted to see this through, and I still was just like, I don't know. So it was really hard for him to have me upset over someone else when, he wanted this. But truthfully, like, he really just waited. He didn't push anything. He really let me have the time and space that I needed, and to really grow from this. And then there came a point where I just was like, okay, like, I think I'm ready, and I feel very loved and cherished and happy. I share no worries when it comes to him, like, it's like your best friend, that they wouldn't do anything to hurt you or anything like that. So yeah, so now we are dating, and I'm very much in love with him. He is just like the most special human being in the world. Like I said, I would do absolutely anything for him. It's funny because I think back to like all the times people said, oh, like my parents, oh, you're gonna marry Michael, and I would just be like, no, like, you're so wrong, I'm not going to. And like, I was engaged to someone else, and then here we are. So I just wanted to share that story with you because I know a lot of you guys do recognize him from like old videos. Like, I did a best friend tag like years and years ago that's on my channel. My journey to get to this point was so different from his journey, but we still, it's just crazy. It warms my heart. He is just like my best friend, truly my best friend. But so it's amazing that I can have this sort of relationship with him. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this story time. I haven't really opened up about it because a lot happened within the last year, and I sort of just wanted to share that, and hopefully that is a little bit of joy to your day. I know the world out there is in a little bit of a chaotic state, but I just wanted to share that story because I think that if we had dated throughout the last, 10 years, like, we really grew as human beings, and like, I needed to become this confident human being to be with him. You know what I mean? Like, Tasha throughout the last 10 years really grew, and that Tasha would not have been good for this relationship. And I think the same with him, as I think if we dated throughout that time period, probably wouldn't have gotten to here, if I'm honest. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you guys have a really good week. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to turn post notifications on, you can. I never say that, but it really is helpful because I know that like a lot of the time videos don't go in sub feeds. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands. I love you. Bye. Follow us on Instagram. Mom sometimes posts cute videos of me being cute. Bye guys.